so today I'm going to be doing this week's Top 5 Wednesday topic, and this week it is books that you dislike but you love to talk about. Not many books that I actually dislike, to be honest. A lot of the books that I do read I love, or I at least like them, but I've managed to get 5 books that I did dislike, but I don't generally like to talk about them. A few of them I do, but some of them I just disliked but I have no reason to talk about. The first one I'll mention is one that you've probably heard a lot of recently. That is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. The reason why I disliked this is because this is the book that made me realise how repetitive YA fantasy is. Hence why I've been talking about it a lot recently, because I did my video on why I want to stop reading YA fantasy, or at least read less of it, and be a bit more picky when I'm picking YA fantasies. Because this just made me realise that almost every single YA novel has a girl who has someone close to her who dies, who then finds out she's got a special unique power that she shouldn't really have, falls in love with the guy from the bad side, but also has a kind of close boyfriend, but not a romantic boyfriend, on her own side, and then does a little rebelling. I didn't like it at all. I read Glass Sword again, didn't like it, and I'm not carrying on with the series. Another book that I disliked, and I talk about a lot, is The Primrose Path by Rebecca Griffiths. Now, if you read the blurb to this, you would think it's about a young woman who moves to the country and she finds out she's being stalked. But that doesn't happen in the book. The only time I realised she was being stalked was when she mentioned a car outside a house and then pulling away. Apart from that, it doesn't happen. I mean, it might have been good if I hadn't read the blurb and gone into it blind, but I just found it really boring. You'd think it was a thriller, but I wasn't really thrilled, and yeah. Then we've got Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I went into this being a big fan of the film, read the book, and I just hated Austen's language. I just could not get into the way she writes, and the reason why I mention this a lot is because I am wanting to read more classics, but I am scared of reading them in case, like Jane Austen, I can't get into the writing style. So this is maybe where audiobooks will come in. I might use the audiobooks for my classics just because it might be easier for me to get into the language. I do have a few Jane Austen books to read, but again, I'm scared of reading them. That's why I talk about this, even though I dislike it. And it is a classic. I expected to like this, so I was a bit upset when I didn't. Then we also have Artemis by Andy Weir. This was a big release for me, and it was one of my most anticipated reads of 2017. So when I got it and read it and found out that Jazz, the main character in this, is a lot like the main character in The Martian, which is Mark, and I noticed the similarities, I couldn't get it out of my mind while reading. So all the way through reading this, I'm like, but Jazz is too similar to Mark. She's sassy, she's sarcastic, she's just exactly the same. So I'm a bit worried about maybe reading more Andy Weir, just in case all these main characters follow the same personalities. So yeah. The fifth one is where it got a bit hard choosing books, because those are the main 4 that I talk about. So the next one is just another book that I disliked, but I maybe don't mention it as much, but it is mentioned every now and then. And that's Flashfall by Jenny Moyer. I just found this so boring, and again, even though I read this beginning of 2017, I think, it was one of the Fairy books, just didn't find it interesting. Again, it's following maybe the normal YA fantasy kind of thing, you know, she's going to start a revolution, and I just can't be asked following it up. The only reason why I mention this is when people mention, oh, is Fairy Loot any good? Now I'm like, yeah, the majority of the books are fine, but then I mentioned Flashfall, and I was like, yeah, it's my first book from Fairy Loot and it wasn't very good, but the majority of the books are fine. I just used this in the example as one of the books that I didn't like. That's it for this topic. I hope you enjoyed it. What books do you dislike but can't stop talking about? Just comment down below and we can have a little discussion. And as usual, you can like this video, subscribe to my channel. All my social media links are down below, and I will see you later with a new video. Bye.